3 signs your church's vision has already expired. Let's get into that right now on the Church Revitalization Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast, brought to you by the Malphurs Group team, where each week we tackle important, actionable topics to help churches thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Scott Ball and A.J. Mathieu.
Welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast. My name is Scott Ball. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, A.J. Mathieu.
Double salute.
That again, that old thing.
That's a visual. That's a visual for the YouTubers.
Yeah. Hey, we're glad to have you on the podcast with us again. Today we're talking about vision, and we're talking about expired vision. Vision that's gone a little stale. Have you ever eaten anything that's gone expired that you didn't know was expired when you put it in your mouth?
Yes. We can probably all relate to that. Yeah. I'm a cookie fan. You know what?
Yeah.
I haven't had cookies. Do I have cookies up here in my snack? No, I don't have any cookies in my snack stash, but
You have a snack stash?
I do. Yeah. They're right here at my desk. That's where I keep my personal snacks. And
for
everybody
those who are
knows
listening, yeah,
that's my
AJ's
snacks.
a big fan of peanuts.
Oh, I ate a lot of peanuts. Those are gone before they could get stale.
Uh-huh.
But cookies, sometimes I take a break from cookies. My Chips Ahoy, I'm cheap, so I eat store brand Chips Ahoy. But those, yeah, you let those go a week or so, and you're like, that's not as good as when I first opened that bag.
Yeah, or like cracking open the jug of milk and giving it a whiff.
Oh, well, that's
And you know
that's
if it's
a big
gone.
one. That's a big one.
Yeah, you don't want actually. You always want to smell the milk. You don't even want to risk that going into your mouth
I don't
and
even
it
want to
being a
smell it.
problem.
I'm just looking at the date. We go through a lot of milk, so it's never going to expire at my house. But always paying attention to the date. And
I don't think you can trust the date. I think the date. I think you can go bad before the date.
Really? Oh, I don't know about that.
I think so. I'm pretty like if there's a chance we're getting a close, I'm sniffing, and if it doesn't, I don't know. Just saying.
And it is immediate. It's immediate and magic. 12:01 a.m. on whatever date is on that jug is going down the drain. I'm sorry, but it is immediately gone for me.
I totally agree. Okay, so glad we've covered food spoilage. The reality is, though, that some of your churches, there's no expiration date on your vision, and but in practical reality there is, and maybe your church has never even talked about vision before. It's sort of like broad concept. We don't really even know what it means. Who can even say, do we have a vision? And that can be problematic on its own. But today we're talking about, hey, do we have the vision that we think we have? Has it gone stale? Is it expired? Is it working anymore? How can we know? What are some signs that it started to spoil? How can we know?
Yeah.
So before we dive into that today, though, I just want to remind you that if you want to work on that vision, some great tools can be had inside the Healthy Churches Toolkit.
And there is a very clear expiration date on your 7-day free trial.
That's right. It's 7 days. Yeah. Yeah. So you can access those tools for free by going to healthychurchestoolkit.com, sign up free for 7 days, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Yes, vision, now, if your vision is so broad that it could either never be achievable or never expire, wasn't really a good vision to begin with, Sharing the love of Jesus worldwide is not a usable vision in the church. It's a nice
this
sentiment.
is maybe sort of like a difference between a mission statement and a vision statement. A mission is directional, and a vision is a snapshot. This is where we're going. One is maybe, again, sort of motivational, and it sort of inspires us towards a particular action, whereas a vision is or behavior on a repeated basis whereas the vision is more of a picture of where we're going.
Yeah.
To what end, what success looks like. And I think that there's maybe some confusion that actually, AJ, I was telling you off air that I was doing some spring cleaning, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of tidying up shelves and things. And I was reorganizing my Malphurs books down here, and I was putting them in like strategic envisioning order, like by topic, like general SE stuff first, and then like mission, values, discipleship pathway, vision.
That's fun.
So that way they're kind of like in order.
Okay.
And I was thumbing through, and actually came across this. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see maybe a little bit this chart. Might be hard to see actually. But there's a chart between a mission and a vision. That's in this book, Developing a Dynamic Mission for Your Ministry. And I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've got it. Remember, we made sure we have all of Aubrey's books.
Yeah. Oh, I do have that one. Yeah. I've never read that one.
Yeah. So it's a mission. Mission is a statement. A vision is a snapshot. A mission is short. A vision might be long. A mission informs, a vision inspires. Mission is doing, the vision is seeing. The mission is first, the vision is second. The mission is common, the vision is unique. The focus of a mission is broad, the vision is narrow. The mission clarifies, the vision challenges. A mission is taught, a vision is caught. So there's some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
Mission is head, vision is heart. So sorry. Just came across that actually this weekend, and I was like, yeah, that's a good chart.
That is a good chart. Yeah, that's really good. Well, I'm also glad to hear that there's not anything in there that's gotten lost over time in our language. We definitely use a lot of those. Or all of those in various times. So good. Yeah. We haven't forgotten anything that Odd taught us.
No, we haven't. He would be glad. He would be glad to see we have not departed from the teaching. So, sorry, that was all intro. So given that, some of you maybe just fundamentally are having confusion around the difference between mission and visions. And then
common confusion.
And so you really don't even have a vision in the first place. But we're not dealing with that today. Today we're talking about signs that your vision has gone expired.
Yeah. Let's jump in. Sign number one is that nobody can explain it. This is a pretty big indicator right there. If you ask a few people about the vision of your church, and you get various answers or blank stares, two possibilities here. You never had it to begin with, and therefore it's unknown, or it was expressed at some point in the past and wasn't supported, didn't continue, or has been achieved. There's a lot of scenarios, but if it has now become lost, then your vision has either expired or never lived to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of our criteria for a good vision is that it's shared. When I'm talking with a church, if I've ever worked with your church or talked to your church, you've heard me say this, but a lot of churches think that they have unity because they have a shared understanding of theology or even a shared mission. But it's a little bit like agreeing to go on a road trip, but never asking to where. And so if you were to ask 10 people in your church, hey, where are we going? Just phrase it that way. Don't say, what is our vision? Because that might intimidate people. You just said, hey, where are we going as a church? Where do you think we're going? If you get 10 different answers, there's a sign that there's problems with our vision, clarity, and communication. And I guess not to turn this into a sales pitch for the church ministry analysis, but in one of the things that we look at in the church ministry analysis process, which is included with the Healthy Churches Toolkit, a plus account, by the way, is exactly this. The people in your church, do they understand the direction of where we're going? Do they feel like the leadership is communicating this or not? And if the answer to that's no, then that's a sign that your vision has expired.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. Let's keep going. Sign number 2 that your vision may have expired is that it no longer creates tension. I really like this one a lot.
Yeah.
The vision should create tension because if it's truly future focused, you recognize you're not there. And so, I mean, this isn't rocket science here. If we are saying, here's a picture of the future for us, and we look at our current reality and we're like, well, that's not today. What do we do with that? I mean, we need to wrestle with that then. How are we going to get where we're going? This gets into a lot of, finer details of discipleship pathway and having yourself prepared and have a plan, but there should be a gap. If we are not all clear on the gap, then something is off. Something has happened. Now, it's possible, again, I said this earlier, that maybe it's possible that your vision has expired because of achievement of it. And that's awesome. I mean, that's really great. So maybe you're just a little bit behind on refreshing your vision, setting some new goals, and utilizing the progress that you've made to continue and enhance what you've done. But yeah, if we're able to speak of the last known vision in the present tense of what is already happening, then it's no longer a future focused vision. It's a description of your current church, which isn't helpful for moving you forward into something new. So yeah, you need to maintain a healthy level of tension between where we are and where we are saying we believe God's calling us to be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot to add to that. I think that this is the problem for maybe the core flaw for a lot of churches when it comes to vision, is that there isn't a sense of, here is the next mountain for us to climb, or here is the next place that the Lord is calling us to go. And people just kind of get comfortable. And I think, I don't know, again, here I am just kind of thinking off the cuff, which is maybe always dangerous. But, I'm not suggesting that things were very good and that things always went really well in the wilderness for the people of Israel. In fact, there were a lot of problems, and they self-inflicted injuries and whatnot. But there was this clear, compelling vision of like, we're going to this promised land. We're going to this place that God has is calling us to go into, a land, with milk and honey. And the reason why we need to be faithful, the reason why we want to follow the law and listen to what God is saying, is so that we can, be prepared for and enter into the land that He's preparing for us. And which is very different. What you can see then, once the people entered the land, and they certainly after the time of the judges and even the early time of the kings with the consolidation, once they kind of got settled into the land, then very quickly things start to fall apart, because now the people don't have a coherent vision of what's next. Where are we going? They're in the land, they're settled in the land, and now they're fat and happy, which is not what God had ever intended for them. They were to be a light to the nations, but they never caught that vision, that picture of the future, where they are this shining city on a hill. They are this example. They are witnesses to the nations. They never caught that. Once they achieved that vision of being settled in the land, things went really sideways. And, you might be looking at your church and maybe you look back, your church you've got the wall of fame of, I've been into churches, one I know really well. They've got a cabinet of memories of things that this church, here's where it started in 18 such and such, and here's where it is now, and all these memories. And if all there is a cabinet of memories and the achievements of the past, but there's no picture for the future, they're creating tension for where God is calling you to go next and what He's calling you to do. Chances are this is not a compelling place to be. And chances are you actually have disunity. Again, maybe underneath the politeness of the surface politeness of church, beneath that there might be disunity and potential for dysfunction.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I don't think I have anything to add to that one, Scott. So great Great explanations. Our third sign that your vision may have expired is that leadership decisions are no longer being filtered through it. And this is a behavioral practice that has to become habit first culture ultimately, especially up there in, if you've gone through leadership pipeline design, we're talking level 5 leaders, pastor, elder, church council space. Discussions that happen up at that level, and especially discussions about future initiatives or ideas, if nobody is monitoring, hey, does this line up with this vision that we've articulated, and where does that fit in making us, get closer to achieving that vision? Then either the vision is expired or it never existed to begin with. But this is a good little clue, this little indicator for you. If your senior level decision making and leadership meetings never talk about vision and progress towards it, red flag in the vision space for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It's like, the decisions can't be filtered through a vision that doesn't exist. So if you're never asking the question, then that's a good sign that you've got expired vision or just no vision. If you're going, we're never even asking those questions. We're just, and this is true for, I'd say, most churches. They're just functioning by default, decisions by default, decisions based on historical data, decisions based on values, sort of just like we intuit that this is kind of what we should be about. And you can float a long time that way, especially if your church has relatively healthy values. You might not be making bad decisions, but you just might not be making the best ones. So, if you're never even asking that question, then that's a fundamental problem. But if when you do take the time to ask that question, does this align with our vision? If people go, well, I don't even know what that is. I'm not even sure where that is. Then you've got some problems.
Yeah.
So we've got some tips though on what to do this week. If you're like, I feel called out, I feel like I don't even know where to start. We want to give you a few tips to start.
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple of steps that you could take this week. First of all, let's audit any current or near past vision that's been expressed in the church. Get that old statement out, blow the dust off of it, and let's see what did we tell people we were doing. I don't know, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. Does that exist? Can we even find it? And let's look at where we are. Hey, best case scenario is, maybe you've lapsed in expressing something, but you look back at it and you're like, wow, we did some of this or all of it. That would be a pleasant surprise that maybe it was even pastor before you. And you look at it and you're like, wow, you know what? There was something written down here. This looks a lot like our present church. That would be a super fun find and discovery, because everybody would love to hear that. Whenever, you're ready to maybe talk about a fresh vision, you can go and, you know what? We dug this out of the archives, and guess what? We did most of this stuff. That would be an amazing way to launch a fresh vision initiative by encouraging the people that we actually did something in the past. Maybe that's be your case, maybe it won't. Regardless, have a look if there's something exists to figure out where you're at. The next thing is more of an encouragement element in regards to that is don't rush to get something down on paper, for your next board meeting in May. Take the time to do a good visioning process to develop something new for the future. And I guess maybe even our third piece relates to that. If you don't feel like you're equipped to do that, then get help with it. That's an easy one to employ.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about this earlier on in the episode, but I think one of the other fundamental flaws, I guess we touched on this in sign one when I was talking about how it needs to be shared. The biggest mistake here in the steps, AJ, is that the pastor alone or the pastor and just the board go off and in either a really rushed manner or even with a guide, just this small group kind of makes some decisions. Now, it just depends. I mean, like if you're a large church, this is maybe a pastor plus board plus staff conversation. But if you're in a smaller church, this isn't even small. But I mean, if you're a sub 500 church, so anything smaller than 500, you really need to have a vision process that includes people from the congregation in the creation of it. And now that doesn't mean that the pastor isn't the champion of the vision. It doesn't mean that the board or elders don't have final say on that direction. Of course they do. We're not circumventing the authority structures there. You're just not going to get very far if you throw this thing together, and that happens so often. The number of pastors that I talk to who go, "I put this vision together 3 years ago, and I'm so frustrated because people aren't buying in." I'm like, "Well, yeah, you threw it together 3 years ago. No wonder it's not working. That's not helpful. It's not good. You really want to take the time." I get frustrated when or when we're working with a church and they'll go through the vision training, which they do on their own before we're there, and they go, "Hey, we came up with 5 things before you came out." I'm like, "No, hold on." We've got steps for this. We've built workshops around this to try to maximize the end result. And then on the back half of that, the back end of that, there's an implementation process for validating and testing what the results of the workshop itself. So just don't be in a hurry. Like, do it right. Don't do it fast.
Yeah. Yep. So we've got a team of certified guides come in and help you with that, and the Healthy Churches Toolkit also. We've got that training that Scott just mentioned is available in the Healthy Churches Toolkit Plus account, and that's
that's available. The strategic envisioning training is available at any paid account.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great to know.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can do that then. And is actually even the beginning of the strategic envisioning training even talks about assembling your team. We call it a strategic leadership team. So that's super helpful as well, to put together that group of people that Scott was just referring to. So take advantage of that, guys. I mean, that's out there to help you. You don't need to go it alone.
Absolutely. So go to healthychurchestoolkit.com to check out that training that's in there. Or if you'd like to connect with one of our certified guides, go to malphursgroup.com, and we'd love to get you connected and get you started in that process. You really shouldn't do this one alone. You really should work with someone. And again, I think we said this in last week's episode. We're more advocating for working with somebody than we are working with us. There's just such a benefit to partnering with someone. I guess and probably a lot of people are catching that we're winding down this episode, but something I do maybe just want to say before we actually close this came to mind. If you're a denominational leader, reach out to us, because the churches in your denomination or network or family of churches, whatever language you use, they trust you. And if you're thinking, man, we really don't have good tools to help our churches with this, you should reach out to us. Send us an email, leadership@malphursgroup.com, and we would love to connect with you, because we would love to train your team on how to lead churches through this process. Because we say it all the time, hey, we're not trying to sell you something. And we really do have to kind of convince people, hey, even though our services do carry a fee, our heart is just to help. Our services carry a fee because we have to feed our families. But lots of times, you as denominational leaders, you're already being paid. Your food's already being put on your table, and so you really can just provide services to churches at very little cost, or maybe even no cost. But you just don't have the tools at hand to really help them. We would love to certify your leaders on how to use our tools. And maybe that could lead to more churches being helped. So I just want to throw that out there. AJ, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, we love that. This is an area that's been increasing in our ministry, and we're super excited about it because we are seeing more churches become healthy by going through this type of a process, and it's a much more cost-effective way of doing it. So, yeah, absolutely. Families of churches, denominations, conventions, associations. Yeah, let's have a conversation. You might be surprised at how easily we can help equip your team or you to carry on the work that we do. and really see a significant change happen. So
yeah, and more importantly, work that you're already doing but maybe feeling frustrated by. Like you're already supposed to be helping churches with strengthening and revitalization, and you're feeling, you're listening to our podcast, maybe going, I'm trying to take the principles we're talking about and apply them. Like you can just be trained to use our workshops. Like let's just get the tools in your hands. So reach out to us.
Do that. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you again next week on the Church Revitalization Podcast.